Well, you just heard from a fiery Harmeet Dillon who has filed that federal lawsuit to reopen schools in California. Of the more than 30 lawsuits against the state and Governor Newsom, Dillon behind more than half of those. So far, none of the lawsuits filed against Newsom and the state by Dillon have been granted by the courts. 3 have been dropped, and the state has won 1 of them. The rest are still being decided. A list of those lawsuits will be attached to our website, yourcentralvalley.com. So let's welcome back our panel, Keisha Thomas and Gary Bredefeld. And Gary, I'll start with you here. Harmeet Dillon, representing 9 parents and a child, suing the state over the closure of schools closing down again. Does she have a case, even though the 10th Amendment of the state constitution says the governor has precedent here in an emergency crisis?
She absolutely does. Our children have been left behind in this whole thing. They're struggling. There's depression. They're not being educated with distance learning. I think most people know that. Kids belong in school. There's a way to do it safely. I'm holding up here a report that was just put out just last month by the American Academy of Pediatricians, 67,000 of them who said kids have to go back to school. And they outlined through 24 pages how to do it safely from pre-kindergarten all through high school. Kids belong in school. We are having more drug abuse problems. Child abuse is going unreported. Kids don't have Wi-Fi. They don't have access to computers. We are leaving them behind, and they have a constitutionally mandate responsibility, Newsom does in the state, to educate our kids, and it's not happening this way.
Keisha, I'll let you respond, and before you do, Harmeet Dillon says it's safe for kids to go back to school. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely not. And I have to say, Gary, a month ago's research doesn't touch what's happening right now. The amount of COVID cases that we have are alarming. And, for my son to go to school, I'm just going to talk about myself, for Jacob to go to school and then come home with my dad who has cancer, my godfather has cancer, that is not okay, because he may be affected. So I can't allow for my kid to put my dad in danger. Now, going forward, do I think she has a case? Maybe. But here's the thing. There's no way it's going to stick, because Newsom is doing what's in the best interest of all kids, not just 1 or 2 kids or 9 kids. Now, I do agree with what Gary said about, kids being abused at alarming rates and so on and so forth. I agree with that. And we're trying to figure out and make sure with our religious partners that we have and our nonprofits that we have a plan in effect for our kids when they start school. Media won't be an issue. We plan on tackling all of these things. We're working very hard to make it happen. And school will not look like it did before. I will not allow it. We will not continue to do distance learning the way we did from March to June. It can't happen.
Keisha, the one thing I want to say is it's about choice. If you feel that it's dangerous for your child to go to school, I support that. But there are plenty of parents that want their kids to go back to school, that we can make it safe. And those parents should be able to have their kids go to school. Those teachers who are frightened about going, don't go. They can participate in the online learning. But there are kids who want to go back to school. There are parents who want to go back to school. Clovis Unified did a study. 70% of the parents wanted their kids to go. It's about choice. And so one size doesn't fit all, meaning shutting the entire system down is a terrible way to go, in my opinion. And it doesn't preclude you from protecting yourself and the circumstances in your home.
Well, Keisha, before you respond to that, I'm going to let you respond to that. And also I want to add this to it, because school districts have lost control of trying to reopen their schools. The governor is now in control of this. So you're part of the school district, Keisha. Wouldn't you like to have a little bit more control, or do you agree with how the governor is handling this?
I would like to have more choice. So let me just say that. However, I understand that he's trying to make sure that he's taking care of everyone. Now, let me say this. When we started doing distance learning models in classrooms, it was not what I would have ever expected. We have kids who are sitting face to face in desks. So what, is little Johnny going to sneeze on little Susan? What are we going to do? We have to make sure that these kids are safe. And we just don't have the space for 74,000 kids to make sure every kid is safe. and that they're not hugging. I want to hug my friends when I see them. And our students are going to want to do the same thing. So is it really safe? That's the real question.
Well, I want to bring this into the mix now. And Gary, I'll let you start first, because President Trump does want to add $105 billion in aid for schools that do want to reopen, from masks and sanitation items, social distancing. But the state, to my knowledge, hasn't really provided those kinds of funds to help schools reopen in a safe manner.
Well, the issue isn't about money, because the money's there. If you don't want to waste it on a high-speed rail, you can put billions of dollars into the schools. There are ways to make it safe. They have plexiglass now all through businesses that they didn't have it before. The issue isn't we can't figure out a way to make it safe. We can. This country has done great things. We can certainly figure out how to make the schools safe. And it does come down to choice. And kids aren't learning. And if they don't go back in school, those that want to go back in school, we're going to leave them a whole year behind. Not to even mention about the social and the emotional problems that kids are having just by being isolated. All the kids that have special needs that are going ignored through this distance learning. It isn't a one-size-fits-all. And really, Newsom is just responding to his union constituency with the Teachers Association. That's the problem. We're not helping our children. And politics has clearly entered into this.
Keisha, I know that the state is providing about $80 million of that more than $5 billion that the governor is allotting. But since your schools will be closed down to start, will you see any of that money ahead of time?
I'm not sure. I can't speak to that. At this point, we haven't received anything.
I'm sorry, say again, you haven't received what?
Anything.
Anything, nothing. You shocked by that?
No.
Not shocked by that.
Not shocked at all. You know, that's the way it happens. You know, we're in a deficit, and we really need somebody to step forward and make sure that we have the monetary values necessary to make things move forward. And what happens? We're stuck in a hole again. You know, and we talk about, you know, how to do things. People can't tell me how to do things, and I've been in a classroom. There's not enough room. If that was the case, I wouldn't have 2,500 students on Edison's campus who don't have enough room to be in classes. We don't have enough room.
We got to leave it there.
We can't deal with that issue when it's not COVID. And now that it's COVID, we think that everything is supposed to happen magically. It's just not going to happen. It's going to take a lot of hard work.
All right, we got to leave it there. Gary Bredefeld, Keisha Thomas, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.